Yeah,
And
it's
someone's
funny.
going to your boss and is trying to sell them something, and they're
Right.
like,
Yeah.
"Yeah, we're gonna do blah blah blah," and you're like, "Okay, these are three completely different problem sets. They're gonna take three completely different approaches. They're gonna solve three completely different things.
Right.
How do we prioritize? What do we care about?" And you add in that inherent suspicion that game devs have about this stuff anyway, because I I'm like that too.
Yeah.
It's a recipe for like conflict and conversation.
I was at GDC this year, and there were a lot of people pitching, we'll replace your QA with AI. And the thing that was interesting to me is there was never a game studio that was pitching. It was always some external that was like, we can QA your game with AI. And I'm going like, do you know what QA does in game dev?
Like
I,
how?
like
Yeah.
it's if QA is anything, it's a discernment function.
Hmm.
And that's exactly what AI through LLMs don't do. They don't discern. I mean, we could already, to your point, we already have smoke tests. Like we
Exactly.
already have, test harnesses, and it auto boots up and runs through a set of, like we've been doing that for a long time. I was like
Hmm.
working with teams that did that again, like,
That's
10
the
years
other
ago.
thing. Like, we keep missing each other in these conversations,
Yeah.
right? Because if
Eh,
someone who was actually a game dev was having this conversation, they wouldn't just be saying, "Oh, we're going to replace your entire QA stack," right? That's unreasonable. Never going to happen. Like, good luck.
Yeah.
Part of what we're doing too is we're testing on every hardware combination. Like, okay, show me your bot that runs on literally every single hardware configuration that like we have with our game testers.
Yeah.
Um, and the problem that we see, right? Like a lot of this is done with reinforcement learning. What these people fail to understand in those conversations is like, okay, so the game, especially before beta, and you know this very well, is changing extraordinarily rapidly. You're adding
Yeah.
new mechanics, you're changing things. Like things are actually making it in the game that you didn't think were going to make it in.
Yep.
Features are changing, everything's going crazy. If it takes you a week to
Yeah.
train a new agent,
No.
the time to replace QA is too long, and you need gameplay from QA to teach AI how to play the game. So
Yeah.
you're in this like chicken and egg scenario.
Yeah.
And it's funny because there are opportunities here. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Like no problem is unsolvable. Like you just mentioned smoke tests. I think that's a great opportunity. I think having smarter AI that sits alongside QA and learns as they play, as new features get added, is a net win, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because you will always have then, you can have from those small interactions, you can 10x the number of entities you have playing your game at any given time. You're not
Mm-hmm.
replacing any of the humans, you're just able to do more. So having that as part of your test workflow isn't a bad thing. But we're talking past each other because
Yeah.
vendors are making promises that they don't even know they can't deliver on. And so
Right.
they get laughed
Right.
out of these conversations because
Well,
they sound ridiculous.
and I think one of the things that's scary as are you going to manage to sell this to somebody who actually doesn't have experience in doesn't like didn't talk to their CTO or didn't talk
Hmm.
to anybody like, hey, engineering manager or senior engineer, can you come over and like just evaluate what this person just said and let me know what's true and what's false? They just go like, wow, that would be amazing. And I
Hmm.
think this is one of the things in which AI kind of ties back into the first conversation we were having about juniors, because AI is viewed, there's the same thing is happening in that, oh, short term this looks like a potential positive ROI for my company. If I just bring in AI, then I don't need to hire as many people. That's best case. Worst case is I bring in AI and then I get to fire a bunch of people, right? And that lowered my burn rate. This is great. And again, not aware of like, you can't actually do what they claim you can do, because they
Hmm.
don't understand what you're trying to do, nor do you, and you didn't have anybody to ask, or you just didn't ask them. And now you're going to be in this like, congratulations, you made a short term, 1 quarter bump on ROI or whatever, but long term you're setting yourself up for failure. Like, that is to me the really scary thing, because there's these people are figuring out, how do I market this to the folks who have financial decision making authority? Like that's the problem they're trying to solve, and it's a very short-sighted problem, but it could be a very profitable one, and it could look good again at the consequence of the future.
Mm-hmm. 100%. I mean, it's crazy because it really does tie these two threads together. We have execs openly saying, like, oh, we don't have to hire junior engineers anymore. We have AI. It's like, do you think all your senior engineers are going to stay the same forever? Like, I don't know about you guys. I am getting older. Like, that's just a hard truth of the world. So what happens in 20 years when all your senior engineers are retiring?
Yeah.
Where are the rest of them coming from? How are you replenishing them? Because if no one's hiring junior engineers, like what is I don't even understand how you say that without realizing that there's an inherent catch 22 within the
Well,
statement.
I wonder if and again, this is where I get different people, different perspectives. Is AI on an exponential curve of effectiveness? If so, by the time we reach 20 years from now, if someone believes that, they go like, I'll just have AI that are that much better. I won't need any engineers anymore. And I
Mm-hmm.
know there's people that are on that track. The data I've seen seems to show that AI might be on a logarithmic curve, but an exponential power curve, which is not good. But power comes down over time. We solve that technically. But it makes me go like, and I'm not saying it's a permanent logarithmic curve. They will, I'm sure there will be new innovations that figure things out. I wonder if that's the like, hey, one, that's 20 years from now's problem. I don't care, because that's I think in terms of quarters or 1 year. That's as far out as I get to go, just based on the market. And is it just that maybe I think the AI will keep up? I think it won't. I think again the thing that we